We're going back to 1984. What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz here for Cinephellas.com. I'm really excited to talk about the first episode of the newest season of American Horror Story 1984. So this season's to take on the slasher subgenre, one of my favorite genres and subgenres ever, because I love horror movies, as you guys all know. Lots of great films of that era. You know, Friday the 13th, just rewatching that last Friday the 13th last week. Sleepaway Camp. Ryan Murphy and his crew are paying homage to the slasher genre with 1984. The beginning of the episode is really fantastic, the way they set it up and kind of the vibe and atmosphere they're going for is like a three-way, and introducing this killer, Mr. Jingles, and like him cutting off ears and things like that, and it's straight up, you know, nod to Friday the 13th for sure. This character is definitely Jason Voorhees, their take on this character. For the setup of the season, we have a group of friends. They're all working out together. Like the first episode, like early on, they're like aerobics class, so 80s with the pastel colors. It's really ridiculous and over the top, and I absolutely loved it right from the get-go of the episode. Introducing these characters like Xavier, played by Cody Fern. He was in the past few seasons of American Horror Story. Billy Lord playing Montana. Then you have Emma Roberts returning to play Madison Montgomery. She's like the virgin, you know, character in this season. There's a lot of horror movie tropes that they're playing homage to and also making fun of at the same time. You know, take the van, the cliche 80s stoner van. They take it out, you know, to the wilderness to go to this camp to work for the summer, and of course they run into somebody. And a lot of, you know, horror flicks where they pick up somebody that's hitchhiking or somebody they hit and they bring them along for the ride. This group of friends end up showing up to Camp Redwood and introduced to Leslie Grossman's character, Margaret Booth, and Leslie Grossman's been in another season of American Horror Story. So it's good seeing her back, you know, in this season of 1984. She's really, you know, kind of off and really a devout Christian, and, you know, making the world a better place and having this camp for kids and getting people out of the bad elements of the city of LA and bringing them out to the wilderness. And they kind of set up her story, it having to do with her character from 1970, kind of the beginning of the episode, and her now, you know, 14 years later in 1984. But something's definitely off about her, and you kind of see that early on when they're all around the campfire. She's telling her story of what, you know, she came across, you know, this killer 14 years ago when she was a young teenager, and how she's brought back to this camp years later. So something definitely feels off about that. But what I absolutely loved about this episode is definitely the setup, the atmosphere, the overall tone they're going for, lots of great music and fashion, and just the ridiculous, over-the-top nonsense, including cocaine, because there's a lot of cocaine in this episode. They're all like counselors hanging out, you know, their bunks and, you know, talking, but there's like, yeah, you know, I was telling you about, you know, the Olympics. They just keep doing blow and drinking beer. You can definitely tell they're paying homage to films of that era, but also poking fun of it at times. So with the introduction of Mr. Jingles, it's played by John Carroll Lynch. If you guys have been following American Horror Story or fans of the series, you know he played Twisty the Clown. And one of the better villains of the Anthology series. He was in Freak Show, and he was definitely creepy and really something off about him. So it's cool seeing him back in, you know, 1984, playing a different killer this time around, Mr. Jingles. We kind of get a backstory, and his escape has like a similarity to like the original Halloween. So they're kind of going for like the psych ward, you know, like escaping kind of setup in this episode, which is really cool. And then Mr. Jingles making his way back to Camp Redwood, and, you know, him coming across any horny teenagers that are doing coke or drugs or drinking. It's not going to end well for them, except for maybe the virgin. So the little glimpse that we got of Mr. Jingles in this episode, he's definitely menacing, something off about him. And he's, you know, much like a Jason Voorhees, just a big towering dude that you don't want to fuck with. You can definitely get the overall sense and vibe that they're going for, and I really appreciated that. I'm really excited for this season. I enjoyed the first episode, thoroughly enjoyed it. I just loved everything about it, the whole set design, the music, the characters, you know, the drug usage, the comedy, everything I loved about slasher flicks of the 80s. So I'm really interested to see what happens to these characters. It probably won't end well for most of them. But the first episode, I had a really great time with these characters, the returning cast, Emma Roberts, Cody Fern. You had John Carroll Lynch playing Mr. Jingles, Leslie Grossman playing the head of the camp, and, you know, introducing a lot of new characters and actors in the series. and I really had a great time with it, and hopefully you guys had as much fun as I did. I'm going to give the first episode of American Horror Story 1984 a 4 out of 5 slasher hair pieces. So if you guys did check out the first episode of American Horror Story 1984, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite season thus far? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out from Camp Redwood. Hopefully that Mr. Jangles ain't around. Until the next video review. Cheese!